Welcome to more. I'm here with Koma and Qbhall. Say
Hello,
hello.
folks.
Hi, how's it going?
Hello, hello. I'm a bit late. Probably nobody noticed, but oh well. Uh, well, last time I heard that Studio Ghibli was like 33% was bought from the stock share from by TV Nippon, so they're gonna work together. So they're gonna work under subsequently under TV Nippon. So they're probably also gonna make anime or something like that. Don't know.
Oh, I I didn't know about that. So this is the first time that they were publicly traded.
Yeah, I guess so. I can look up the link. They worked in the past together, like just screening some of their movies, but and maybe the site a bit, but beyond that,
Okay, if they're gonna be making series, I wonder how that's gonna work. I mean, I know the production for series in Japan is grueling. So
mm,
I I've heard that Ghibli is supposed to be kind of different because they get I think the payment is different because it's per frame in studios and is like a salary position in Ghibli. And I might be wrong there. But,
yeah, uh,
but, what have you guys been watching and reading in the meantime?
I've been reading Leviton? For how do you spell it? Like this ancient. It's basically just an ancient sea creature. Uh, just basically in a space manga that a prey boat in space has been stranded for a long time. And somebody went into hibernation, and a team found a notebook, and they're reading the whole story out of it. And it's basically a survival story in space. Highly detailed. It's pretty good.
Okay, you could link that in the Discord. I don't think
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm familiar with that one. I don't think so. And what about you, Koma?
I am reading and translating at the same time a work from Masashi Tanaka, the same author who did Gone, the manga about that dinosaur. I don't know if you have, if you know about this author, but he did many other manga, and currently we are doing Victoria, which is like a discontinued series about the adventure of this guy, his crew also in time. It, look forward to it, I guess, when we release it. Have you read Gone?
Gone.
Uh,
He was a special character in
in Tekken, yes?
right, yeah. That is the only that was the first time I heard about a character, but I sure you remember back in the early 2000s, the late 90s, getting any kind of information, extra information, was next to impossible. So
Mhm.
I had no idea what this was. I thought it was just one of the joke characters or something. Um, but I heard about it years later, uh, and I had no idea it was such a hugely popular uh, character. I think is one of the most popular characters that has lasted for a long time, right?
Yeah, sort of. Also, the manga itself is textless. It's a silent manga, so you can get any edition worldwide, and you can read it if read is the correct term. But
All right.
um, the artwork is really nice and detailed. If you go check it out, you will see.
Um, I don't know if you have you ever read Calvin and Hobbes, the American comic,
Mm.
uh, is a popular American comic, but people mostly know it from newspaper strips, Calvin and Hobbes. It's about his kid and his pet stuff like tiger. Um, well, basically it's very popular, but it also had like these kind of it's drawn in like a very uh simple style, but then occasionally he has kind of these imagination sequences where he imagines dinosaurs, and prehistoric times and all kind of stuff like that. And it kind of reminded me of what I've seen of Gone. But I think, have you ever gotten into any of the syndicated strips kind of comics?
Not personally, no.
Okay, it doesn't seem like the kind of thing that because the format usually doesn't lend itself to a long story. Um, if that makes sense, because usually they kind of design it so that every strip could stand on its own.
Yeah, it's like something that gets published only in an issue of a magazine each time, right?
Right, yeah. So like or like in this case a newspaper.
Yeah.
Um
There are many examples of comic books that were done this way in any country, I guess. Usually,
there's one
those are humoristic stories that have humor.
yeah, I think they specifically kind of want that kind of stuff for the newspaper. They don't want nothing too heavy, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah, there was
Yeah. So it's just finding like a bit of King Kong experience. You go in a deep hole in the earth and you find this whole place that's still crawling around with dinosaurs.
but this is what, sorry, this is the story of Gone or
Gone. Oh, that manga. Yeah, I know the one. That's really detailed. There's no text. It's made mostly for kids, you could say.
yeah, looking at some of the art now. Even though you say it was made for kids, I don't think like in the West people would think of this as being for kids. I don't agree with that though. But the people even freak out when a character is in danger. Like that, I think that's like a guideline. You can't have children in too much danger. And they'll say this. Well, this is like a child dinosaur, so he can't be in any danger. He can't have any real stakes, basically.
No, it's just for the manga itself. It's for the art, really. It's more like an art book than anything else. I mean, uh, but yeah,
Yeah.
this the link, by the way. Like still Ghibli was that the co-founder and was it co-founder in the Nippon TV in a press conference explaining that they're gonna work together and they need an successor of some sorts because
Uh,
co-founders like 72 and Miyazaki's like 82, so
yeah. So he should have
25. I
about
mean, yeah, one is
20,
82,
20
one is
to
75.
30 years remaining. I'm not sure if yeah, I'm not sure if his son is like that's pretty nepotism, and is he really that good? Although I think a lot more people had liked Poppy Hill than they had liked Earthsea, from what I remember. Like
Mm.
Goro made no, he made three movies actually. I think he made their first CG movie, which people didn't really like. Goro Miyazaki. He made three
Oh,
movies.
Miyazaki. Yeah, the son of Yuako Miyazaki. Yeah, he tried to make some films. People didn't like it, and Miyazaki even walked out of one of his movies and said that he was not ready for it. He couldn't really do it.
Well,
And just this thing going on back and forth. There was this famous footage of him just walking out, just lighting up a cigarette like he's not ready for it. And he doesn't want it. And Miyazaki doesn't want him to be the successor. So, yeah, that's so some company have to come up and, you know, take his place, basically.
well, surely I think that somebody within Ghibli have enough experience by now. Now there was one
Yeah.
guy that the guy that did Whisper the Heart, but I think he passed away.
Hmm.
He was supposed to be the protege, from what I remember. I don't know if you see if you could find the director of that. I don't know if it's but yeah, you know, I don't know if he couldn't handle his stress or something like that. I think it was it sounded like it was stress related, but I can't
Yeah.
imagine this is a relaxing job, you know. Um,
No, it's not a spa or anything. It's not like for the faint-hearted. It's not like the best thing in the world, obviously. And Miyazaki is obviously not an easy person, so he doesn't want to give it up too quick to somebody, even if they're no, even if they know each other really long, even if it's his son, he doesn't want to give it up. So yeah,
Probably especially his son, you know, he probably be even harder on his son. But
yeah.
you know,
Well, to be fair, the movie he did, Tales from Earthsea, was very much criticized by the public. Even Ursula Le Guin, the original author of the books, she wasn't pleased with the adaptation. So we have a precedent. So I don't know what to think. But if the son himself doesn't want to be in charge on in Earth, the studio, what can you do?
yeah,
And but I can see that why this is a huge responsibility. I mean, Studio Ghibli is huge, like hugely popular, and it's like a symbol for Japanese culture. So it's hard, it's tough.
Hmm.
but I also wonder if like how exactly did he get that job then? Did they just did Suzuki just come up and say do this or else? You know,
Mm.
because I wonder about that. He's saying he didn't want it. You know, uh, so I wonder how exactly he ended up in that position. You know, I have no idea.
Yeah. I mean,
You know, I mean, it seems like he have at least some ability to draw though, because I'm not sure. Did he do the storyboards for those shows, for those films?
don't know really.
Yeah, right. That is that's the question. And well, I think Utsi might have been difficult because I think it's based on one book in the series. I haven't read the series, but I think he tried to make it work on its own, which might be hard
Mm.
to do. You know, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
you know, it's like adapting. I don't know the Two Towers. You know, the middle book. Are we trying to make this work on its own? You know, how's this gonna work? I don't think it'll be easy. Uh,
Yeah.
you know, I think that was a problem too. But if it wasn't tied to Earthsea, I think it would have been received a bit better. It,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because it kind of have a lot of uh, you know, when something is when any piece of media is kind of based on something that's heavily loved, it's gonna be judged much harsher, if that makes sense.
It
Yeah,
does.
yeah.
You know, yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, I've been reading the follow up manga to which I didn't know until recently was a thing to to Rurouni Kenshin.
Oh, the Hokkaido arc.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not sure how. Yeah, I'm wondering if you'll be able to make the stakes feel as high as they were. Well, well, have you know anything about it, Koma?
I mean, I am aware of the manga. I think it's still ongoing, right? 8 volumes so
Yeah,
far.
yeah, it's still
I've
still
read
on.
the original. I've read the original manga series of Rurouni Kenshin. It was actually one of the first manga series I ever read when I was younger. I don't know. I mean, maybe when it's done, I may take a look at it. But as right now, I'm not interested. But at the time, it was starting to being published. If I remember correctly, the author was in the middle of that scandal because they found child porn
PC, yeah.
chippy, yeah, inside in his computer, I believe, and he was like he got a fine or something.
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, he got
that was
really light
many
off that.
many years ago, and maybe back then, and it was they were Japan was even more lenient towards this kind of content that it is today. But of course, it was just pornography, even if it involved children.
Yeah,
in,
yeah, yeah. It was a
to
few
them,
years ago.
it's sort of accepted to own something like that compared to perpetrating violence against minors yourself. So they got easy on him. But if you don't know, a few couple of years ago, the author of Act Age or Actage got arrested, I guess, or the manga was cancelled because of what he did. But they didn't do the same to Watsuki back then. So that says a lot in regards of how Japan sees this issue, and when they don't punish someone for this kind of thing. I don't know what you think about it, but it's weird.
Um, so the stuff that he had, well, I think at a time it wasn't illegal in Japan.
No.
So there was a time where, oh, that's kind of unusual. So so it became illegal. So if he had gotten rid of it, it would have been okay.
I
Uh,
don't know.
you know, but yeah, well, I know Japan has some unusual laws regarding this kind of stuff. You know, so but
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
some people,
They try to get pornographical stuff. Just try to shove it under the rock and try to keep the clean image and whatnot. But at the same time, it's a secret that everybody knows because, like in many cities, it's just with neon lights on. Oh, you can have a soap land or a red light district, or etc., etc., etc. It's like this weird balance and exists, but it also is viewed down upon. But it's really easy to find that kind of stuff. It is. You
well,
have even places where you can just talk to minors, just talk, nothing else. But it's just like a weird combo of these laws and these regulations and how the culture views it, basically.
uh,
Apparently, up till 2014, it was all right to own that kind of material. But after the new law passed, it became illegal. So
oh,
weird.
that's that's weird. Is okay. Well, but some people say, well, is life imitating art that imitated life now? You know, so he's on a road to redemption. You know, with the Hokkaido arc. In real life. You know, some
Mhm.
people
Hopefully so.
some people they don't even want to read the stuff after
because of what the author did.
yeah,
Yeah,
but
that is an issue in separating the person from the work he made.
yeah, for sure. I think it's important to do because I guarantee whoever anybody looks up to, something is gonna be revealed someday. I almost believe I believe in no genius without madness, and I sure many people that we look up to and whose works we follow, something is gonna be revealed, but
Yeah, yeah.
does that take away from the benefit that the work had brought us at the time though? Should it?
Yeah, yeah. For some, it's a difficult question. Like some are just real big fans of the work, so it's a hard pill to swallow. The kind of stuff happens to authors like that, and just wanna forget that it ever happened and just continue to work because they're so deep into it. It's like us, if me ever did something like that, like fuck, we have all this stuff in work and we talked about it for so long, looked so much shit up, and then just suddenly he does that. I'm like, fuck, what do I do now?
Yeah,
We still love the work, obviously. We are like at the same time, like, fuck, what do I? Why does he to do with it? Like obviously blame or whatnot has nothing to do with it, obviously, because it's like probably won't ever do that because he's not the type of person to do it. But I hope
well,
so. Yeah,
there's really no way to know until something is revealed. So
yeah.
you can't even say that. It's always the quiet ones. Uh,
I
oh
mean,
that
Serial killers are the quiet ones.
yeah, oh he was so quiet. I had no idea he had people in his freezer or whatever.
And
You know.
bam, he has like 15 people in his cellar or something like that, tied up.
Yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, I do think it's important because yeah, I mean I think the big example people always give is Orson Scott Card who wrote Ender's Game. That has a huge amount of fans, but that guy has some beliefs and stuff that a lot of people don't like. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's present in their work. Um, but regardless, some people don't even want to read the stuff after that. But no, I think because then they had to think. Okay, so if we stop reading that, we had to be suspicious of everybody then because those are just the
Yeah,
persons
but then
who
you can
found
stop
out.
thinking about it, and you just don't have a life anymore. You just like, oh no, what I have to read now? Anybody can just do anything nowadays, so I can't read anything. If you have that in mind,
Yeah,
then you can just can't read or live anything. If you just think on the street, like anybody can be a murderer, but like then you just close up in your house. But like a meteorite can also hit your house and you're dead. So like, yeah, what's the point in living like that if you just in fear all the time for anything that moves or things that could be a threat to you? So
yeah,
yeah,
for that
exactly.
reason, it's better not to merge the two things. Like you must, for the most part, only consider the work of the artist and know what kind of person he is. But otherwise, you will more likely than not start to hate everyone and stop consuming everything because everyone or most people have skeletons inside their closets. So
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Sometimes
you
literally,
Especially obviously. But oh well, other topic. Here's the Tokyo laboratory shuts down in November, which basically operated from like 1955 and was just everything, every anime that's been produced since that time stored away, like masters or film screenings, TV screenings, whatnot. But since they're gonna shut down, everything will be thrown away if they don't get an email from said company that they want the anime to be stored. There's a copyright, so a lot of stuff can be gone after a while. So that's heartbreaking. There's vinegar syndrome. That's just like thanks to humidity, just evaporating basically. So that's a
Um,
sad future for that.
do those some of those companies I imagine don't even exist anymore to reclaim their thing, to reclaim their stuff. If the company no longer exists, that means that they will not be able to contact this laboratory.
Yeah.
So those, well, I mean, what I'm saying is that this laboratory surely has works for companies that no longer around,
No,
right?
no, 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 no.
Right?
Many obviously.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that I'm worried that those works will be destroyed then. If the company is
Yeah,
no
yeah,
longer around to send a email or contact them, they're
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
have
yeah.
to. Uh, well, hopefully some rich person will step in and say, "Oh, I'll put these in the freezer or whatever, or however they store them. I don't know."
Or just a company that like Fanboys, for instance. Fanboys was it's a company that archives anime and restores them. I think they have a new name now. There was a time they were called Fanboys, and like obviously they changed that, sadly. But yeah, it's people like that. I mean, hopefully not a bunch of rich hoarders, and they just lock it up somewhere, anime, and you never see the light of day, obviously, of it, because you know how rare it is and how much. Value it has. That would be
Yeah.
irritating.
Yeah. So and so this is 67 years worth of content on film.
Mm,
But did they? But when did they actually stop making anime on film and making stuff on film?
maybe
Because that
around the 90s or something.
okay, so we could probably minus about 20 something years from that.
Yeah,
Because
yeah, yeah, yeah. Still,
but I mean it's
it's
still for
a big
half a
list here.
century, of films in there.
Mm.
Well,
I
so
mean,
so
obviously, the
there's
most well-known stuff is gonna get out of there. Obviously, like Bebop, they had a small list of like everything they had. Like they had Bebop on there, Sailor Moon, etc., etc., etc. That's the stuff that's gonna be saved, obviously, because that's massively popular. They're not gonna let that be destroyed. But yeah, a lot of anime from the 60s and 50s, yeah, that's gonna get the boot because who they are not around anymore, two who cares about them, three who knows about it. So yeah, that's gonna be a
uh,
sad day, obviously, but you don't know what they're gonna do from now on.
so, so I take it that the main reason they shut it down is because their main business was developing the film, which nobody producing stuff on anymore.
Hmm.
Is that what's happening? Like they were they used to develop the film that all these studios used to send in, but they don't have that because everybody has gone digital. They 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 no longer have the income from that.
Yeah,
So
yeah, they don't really are needed anymore. They just it was just a storing company for all these anime, basically, and yeah, after so long, they just like uh yeah, and when it says here, the companies decided that it would be difficult to continue to change to the business environment, including increasing movement towards digital cinema, etc., or collection of digital files, or storing of a digital camera. The collaborators started at the time, stated at the time it would shut down, but digital image and video editing business would transfer to Toho Studio. So yeah, basically they can't change anymore. They have just so much stuff that's on film, so they have to shut it down and just throw away shit. So It's a
Hmm.
shit. Yeah,
So much tapes, so much films, so much stuff from
Right.
a forsaken era of movie
Uh,
making.
gonna be lost forever.
and it's
Basically.
not just
Oh, monsters, obviously too.
it's not just about storing it. I mean, I imagine this thing had to be in like a controlled environment and all this sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not very, it's specialized, obviously, just to keep them good. But even in that country, it's difficult to, keep it all good, obviously, even after so many years. So, yeah, like vinegar syndrome, thanks due to humidity, it gets way too hot. So, the film uh, that was made back then just, you know, destroys itself, basically. But, uh, oh well.
That's kind of messed up. But well, hopefully
Mhm.
somebody will step in and step in and
Just save some of it.
yeah.
Probably
It's-
not everything, obviously, and
uh,
some are probably not even the masters. But yeah, what can you do about it?
So if something is rescanned, so from what I understand, like if something was in standard definition before and they scan the tape again, they're able to get more detail out of it, right?
Yeah, master is basically the original copy of a master of an anime. It's like in the 4K basically, or something in between there that are like really high resolution, and that was used as a basis for all the TV and cinema projections, basically. And with that master, you can restore an anime to its full glory. You don't need to have an upskilled version with AI and whatnot. You can literally just use the masters and you can get the full thing back into original. Makes it way
But
easier to restore something than to upskill it, because you can still see that it's upskilled.
but there must be a limit as to what we could really gain from scanning it in a higher and higher resolution, right? Like I wonder, like let's say something was already scanned in 4K. Is there going to be a 12K or something in the future that this would gain something from scanning it?
Mm,
You know,
no, yeah, obviously it's gonna go on and on and on. It's gonna be better,
but
better, better. But
is
yeah,
there anything to gain from it though? I mean, like guys don't
and
really
I
have.
mean, I guess not, because the Masters is literally the original work, so you can't get much higher than that. So, like that's just the highest
Right.
thing
So,
that you have. That's basically
I
the
mean,
most original thing that there is that can be done about it. Sure, you can even make it even better, but it's
there,
the
there's
source.
kind of a ceiling, right? You know, there's kind of it's like, well, it's not really that much difference because I know from what I understand, the resolution of film is almost like molecular. It's a molecular process, so it's not down to pixels. It's an analog thing,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
So I mean, theoretically, you could gain something from rescanning it. You could if you scan it in 1080p before and it's scanned in 4K now, you're gonna reveal more. But after that, is there much to gain from scanning it again in a higher resolution? But I do still agree that is important to keep the originals if
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
possible.
yeah. I mean, like you see now, you see a few animes just being done to 4K. Like you see these 4K Blu-ray boxes, like Akira has been done in 4K, and Ghost in Shell in 4K, and like not everything they're gonna do in 4K. It's just like the best of the best, or like the most iconic stuff that's gonna be done in 4K. But you can go on forever and ever and ever by just upscaling it to oblivion, but it's never gonna be as what the original product was. And if you have the masters, then you're basically golden. You just have you have the long process of just restoring it and get it to its original, but you get to the you get to the original state that it was. And with an upscale, you're gonna see you're gonna see some problems cropping up, obviously. And sadly, some masters were destroyed, like with Meloding, for instance. There was an OVA from Photoms, and that was destroyed, sadly. So, you can also, and only an upscale made of that. So, yeah, it's basically that for that.
It is sad, of course, but
It's
you
sadness.
can't keep everything, I guess. And of course,
Nah,
what's valuable is going to be preserved forever. Like the master of Akira is going to last for as much as people is able to make it last, I guess. But something that came out 30, 40 years ago and
or
today is
50, 60.
unknown to most people, is like super niche. Of course,
Yeah, that's gonna be lost most
it all
likely.
comes
Like,
down to money as well. If the potential to make profit of it is gone forever, and there's no point in restoring, remastering this movie, this anime, then of course, in due time, it's going to be lost at some point.
yeah, yeah. Obviously, I mean, some anime is like in black and white, and it's like, some TV anime, but who knows about this anime? And if it's done by an unknown manga, for instance, and
Yeah.
so forth, then yeah,
Oh,
nobody's really gonna care except like Kenny Laureldale or like fanboys or like those kinds of guys. Those are gonna be interested to preserve. It's just some unknown anime that nobody's talking about because that's the most interesting stuff. Those are the only people that are really interested by. But an actual company, yeah, no. Like majority of the time, no. Except if the original company of the anime wants it to be preserved, but that's a rarity. Like the majority wants the enemy buried, or they're long gone, or they're all dead, or whatnot. So yeah, no real big chance it's just gonna go away at some time. And even the Japanese don't want some anime to be preserved because they want it to be, they want to see it in the moment. They kind of keep watching it on film till it just burns out and nobody can see it anymore because they have the copyright system a bit too high in their heads and they don't want anything to be restored. They want everything to be original, etc., etc., etc. But yeah, that's also we are a small niche that does that for like local screenings of some anime that they have on 3 millimeter or something like that. But oh well.
yeah.
Yeah. There's also a lot of when anime was now starting to become digital. From what I understand, there were a lot of stuff that was produced only in standard definition. So it was produced digitally and it was produced only in standard definition. So there is no film to scan for those. Uh, so those anime have to remain in standard definition unless you do a AI upscale. I don't know if you're familiar with what I'm talking about. When this was when anime now started becoming made digitally, and they didn't even have the processing power to do the work in HD. So it was done in like 480p or something like that, right? So
Yeah,
so
for
the
TV, it's been a lower resolution than the Masters were, or anything else, or just a standard or low copy has been up to DVD or VHS in like 420p or 720p, and that's about it. That's the only way you're gonna see most old 90s or 80s or whatnot anime from the time to really watch them.
But it's kind of interesting. It's like that. Not only is like there's none of the artwork was even made in high definition. Like it's like
Mm.
before, if something is produced digitally, the resolution that is made at is the resolution that it is in. As opposed to like if we did a painting, we could always scan it at a higher and higher resolution. But if we did a drawing at 480p, then that's kind of it. Unless you use upscaling, that's pretty much the size that is going to be. This is all the information we have then. Although I don't know if you have seen like new stuff like DLSS, where they're using lower resolution video game frames, and they're using the accumulated information across frames to
Mm.
generate more detail.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
like the like
It's from Nvidia, right?
yeah, yeah.
You can get more FPS even if you have a lower spec PC using that thing, if I am not
Yeah,
yeah,
mistaken.
like an
well,
upscaled version of an old game from like a PlayStation 2 to a PlayStation 3, for instance.
well,
Like,
it's not just about that though. It's a little more complicated than that from what I understand because um, they're actually using frames, the information from frames to generate more detail than exists at the native resolution that so like they're using, let's say they're using a 1080p image to generate a 4K frame by using the information across different frames, if that makes sense,
mm-hmm.
right? So they they well they're starting with uh lower quality assets then, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So like
Okay.
I wonder if that kind of stuff could be used to
Yeah,
basically
yeah, yeah.
help. Yeah.
I mean, I remember like last week, I watched like 6 minutes of an 1 hour anime called Visitor. It's basically just a shitty 90s CGI, like cuts, like basically what you would see of an FPS game. The cutscenes from the 90s. Yeah, that was basically a whole anime. It was like horrible CGI. For the time, it was probably pretty expensive to make because it's only CGI in the 90s, so that's pretty expensive to make. But man, you can't watch it nowadays for like 1.5 hours with that kind of clunky animation and whatnot. So that's pretty bad. Yeah, I don't think anybody and their mother is gonna make an upskill of that or something like that. That's just gonna be for like the real niche people that find that appealing to watch. But even me doesn't even want to watch that. It's just like pretty bad.
Yeah, but I know you were feeling kind of tired.
A
Uh,
bit.
so I don't know if you wanna. It's okay if you wanna cut it short today.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Maybe 1.5 hours or something like that, and not like full 2 hours or like longer than that. That we have done on other podcasts. 2.5 hours is a bit too long for this kind of stuff. There's only so much stuff you really want to talk about, and have only so much time, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah, definitely.
But oh well, yeah, the manga I was reading was this manga, Leviton. It's basically a manga that I've been following for some years now, basically on Twitter. It's basically a guy on Twitter that made a manga in Japan for like 3 volumes. Really detailed art. Is also a Blame fan, obviously, so that's why I know him in the first place. It's basically about surviving on a spaceship that was crashed. Is basically it just looks like a ferry boat, but then in space with a bunch of kids. They see basically the premise is so meteoroids hit the boat. The boat goes full critical, and they have about 50 hours to live. A few kids overhear this from a teacher. This info, and the teacher tries to kill him. And then the killing spree begins for who gets the last cryopod that they can survive, because it was an old ship that was just used to keep people in cryopods and for long journeys. But nowadays, that's not. Over that time, that was not useful anymore. So they only have one, so they have to kill each other basically to get there. But it's not like an high school battle or something, a high school royale or something like that. Nah, it's just basically just one keeps killing the others and just tries to get to the end of it. Some people have told that the story is not that great, but the art is like, you can see from this stuff it's pretty damn well done. It's a bit small. Maybe I can get a bit better. Let me see. What can I do? Hmm. Oh wait, maybe I can just wait. Maybe I can get to manga decks and get a better stuff. Okay, let me do that.
Yeah, it's the best solution.
Yeah, I know sometimes even it seems like the official methods to view stuff is not that good.
No, not on this. Maybe I need to go to what's it called, OBS, but I still have to figure out how that really works, or how to get that stuff going. So that's a bit. Uh, hmm.
Yeah, there was one guy I saw he does comic reviews, but the official site that he reads them on, that he pays for, is so bad that he reviews it on the pirate site. It's like, yeah,
Doesn't
this
even want to bother to read it.
is like, yeah, I'll purchase this thing properly, but their site is garbage, so I'm reading it on some hacker site, which is a
Yeah,
better
yeah,
service.
yeah, yeah.
I think you see that in a lot of places. There was a time I was watching something with my friend online, and his legitimate Amazon Prime wasn't working, or Netflix or whatever it was. So we both was
Mhm.
watching on the pirate site. It's like, yeah, this is why and there was some that happened a few times in games too, where like the game wants to phone home all the time, but if those servers go down, the game can't authenticate itself. You
Mhm.
know, so it's almost like that is a problem that the pirates would not face. So this means that the pirate is having uh, a better experience than the people that have the legitimate game.
Hmm.
Kind of messed up to think about, but it is how it is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No way to get a better version out there, basically. But yeah, in the art department, like you can see that this you kind of blame stuff like the high detail, the pipes, the suits, the sci-fi aspect of it. I've
Yeah,
bought like volume one on my vacation because I just need to have it because have to have it. I only bought Blame volume one in French and that one and that's it because I don't have space to have like 15 different French manga that I can't read. What's the point in that to have that around? Need to sell some still that I don't that I'm not interested in.
well, it's really detailed.
Just a ship that's it's all about.
It's a wreckage. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah, and it's already an old wreckage. Like nobody's alive anymore. This is like I don't know, 50 years later or something like that. I don't know how long it's been. Like maybe 20, 10. Who knows? The Notebook, everything, the whole story's in here basically, and yeah, it's like it's just if you just want to read it for the art, like it's a good place to start, I could say.
Yeah, you don't
no,
see many manga with this level of detail.
this
No,
is
no, not anymore now.
is it a Korean book?
No, it's a Japanese guy. It's on Twitter mostly. He tries to get on And then there was his first work, I think, and then he works on some other works. But it was like his first work. I knew him for like a few years before. He's not in the surf or anything, but we were sharing it around, like the manga and the process of it, basically. And now people on the server are rediscovering it. Like, oh, it is new. I never seen this before. I'm like me. I'm like, I knew this for years already, but hey, that's how long I've been in here. So here meteorites, just
Uh, e, e,
obliterated ship.
E.G. Otsuka is still the the writer.
The writer is Shiro mm, Rio. Yeah, that's the writer. Let me go to a better page.
Well, Google might be giving wrong information here. See, in Leviathan comic book series, author E.G. Otsuka.
Yeah, here, Shiro, here, it's in the screen. Shiro Kurai. Yeah, sometimes it shows some other manga. It's not that well known. It's only three
Okay,
volumes.
okay. Because I see another one. Because there's another one named Leviathan,
Yeah,
and that one is a Korean.
yeah, that's why you thought of that. Yeah. I've seen some other works that are like named the same, like yeah, Leviathan. Yeah. I know what you mean, but no, this is the work. Pretty good for the art, at least. I don't know for the plot or for the rest, but why not?
Okay, because I was wondering, you talking about some totally different thing there, You talk.
Mm. Well, further, I bought in a store today in Amsterdam the newest One Punch Man volume 26. Yeah, I've been collecting these 26 volumes already. It's the first manga I ever bought. Found funny, so I kept buying it. And obviously, the girls are hot, so just have to buy more of it, obviously. New ones popping up in this volume. It's still great. So, yeah, why not?
I haven't caught up with the manga yet. Sorry, I haven't even caught up with the series, much as the manga. I know some people were complaining about
The second season.
yeah I don't know, they were like they were spoiled with the animation of Wit, from what I understand, and that
Yeah, it was a bit less. There was also a point in the manga that not much was happening, so there was not much going on in the anime itself. Obviously, like the first anime covered like 1 through 7 of the manga, so and there was a lot more happening in there, and it's obviously Madhouse, so action was really spot on, obviously, so that really worked into it. But with Madhouse, it's obviously it's like majority of the time they just do one season and just give it to some other company because they're too busy with other projects all the damn time. So yeah, sadly they didn't get more of Madhouse basically. But yeah, season one is still the best of it. And like season two, it's not, it's not terrible. It's not like berserk levels of terrible, but it could always be better in the regards. I mean, now there's a bit more going on, and there's even gonna be more going on later on. We're again a big boss to
so
defeat. But for now, it's just hot girls and hot outfits for now in this volume, basically. But also some nice fights. So yeah.
so you're saying that that actual part of the manga was not that interesting, so that is not necessarily their fault.
No,
Oh,
not entirely. No. That just didn't happen too much in the manga either. So yeah, it's a bit logical that the anime was just a bit lacking, I guess. But it's fine for what it is. I mean, there's been a season 3 announced, so that will be coming next year or something. Or or something like that. I don't know, but yeah, there probably will be coming more stuff to come. I hope so. Hmm, probably will. Uh, Let me see the cover. Man. No.
All right. Yeah, I'm looking at the first few pages of the Leviathan manga here, and yeah, I always wonder what it would be like if the whole manga was painted. Because I know a lot of manga start with painted pages, but they don't continue.
No, 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 no. A lot of them. No, a lot of them do that now.
But
Yeah, I mean, back in the day, it was really expensive to do it. Now it's just more like a style, so they can just keep it going. There's a few manga that just are completely in color, but that's a rarity, basically. It's just a bit more work to do that, basically. So, eh.
It's
Oh well.
also easier for the mangaka to do
Draw quicker.
in black and white. Yeah, because it takes more time to add the color.
Yeah. And they have to work on time and
Yeah,
how
because the
fast they can do it.
schedules are very tight in Japan.
If you want every week a chapter or something, or like, something like that, you really need to do something about it.
yeah, and I don't really miss it, to tell you the truth. Uh, when I now started, before I started reading manga, I thought that I would miss the color a lot, you know. But I don't really miss it that much.
It's just a matter of getting used to, but
Yeah, it's like the reading direction. Like if you read from right to left, you just get used to it after a while. If you never done that before, like how the fuck do I start this? Like, and after a while, like it's like second nature to you, and then you have to get used to left to right again. I had to do that a few times. So like, how the fuck does this work? How does the paneling work in this book? And it's just like, yeah, it's just not used to it anymore.
What I do think about though is that means the if something is created as a manga first, they will not be able to use color as any part of the script really. It will be difficult, and that is something I see in sometimes you see that kind of thing in movies or other stuff, movies and series and stuff where the color is important, you know, but the color can't be like a plot point then in some of these manga unless somebody
Mm.
actually says it. Like the few times somebody is bringing attention the color, they kind of had to be obvious about it. If you understand what I mean, they had to say, "Oh, this is you know, he's wearing this red coat, you know, or whatever,
Mm.
you know." Like I don't know if you ever.
Yeah, you have to signify that it's red, or have a cover that you have the characters in their costumes, and then which is which, or just chapter covers, for instance, in color, just to know which is which or what color he has. I mean, with Sibo, they often sometimes he's drawn with like white hair or blonde hair, so you have no clue. Like, is she white? Is she blonde? Doesn't really matter. No, but it's like that's kind of stuff you don't know what color their hair is, for instance.
But but
You
but
just
then you
know
know.
that it's bright or really light.
But then sometimes like that's why a lot of people sometimes have trouble recognizing people because they're not. But I don't think people need to be totally consistent all the time though. I think it's kind of but they could see how changing the hair color like that could be a problem with
Yeah,
identification. You know, like that.
yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing that anime does to help make it easier, right? Because it you know you have a guy with pink hair and a guy with blue hair or whatever is
mm,
you know it's easy to make out.
Yeah. They have different features. Some have some girls really big boobs, another one has really long legs, etc., etc., etc. Also has a certain set of skills, or just different personality, etc., etc., etc. And obviously, their color of their hair also signifies their personality in a lot of anime, like white being more shy and red being more fierce, blue more being cold, etc., 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 etc. That kind of stuff. Green a bit more wild, like you see with Tornado, for instance, in the manga, and you go on like that. But obviously, a lot of designs for anime girls or boys nowadays is just like this standard template for it, and you can just put different wigs on and different body types, and bingo, you have a girl for boy. Or like you can just change anybody's sex like that, or like height, for instance. Or you can just draw a 12-year-old girl, and you said, oh no, it's a mom in her 30s, and this is her kid, and you can just tell and write that off, because you could just draw a child and you're done. It's like really easy for some things. It makes absolutely no sense, or just doesn't look right, because they just can't draw real human beings, because the heads are too big, or the eyes are just way too big, or like different proportions, or the hands look really big, or like really small, or like pointy, or the chins are really pointy, like you could stab somebody with them. But yeah, that's anime for you. Like majority of the works are not realistic at all, and they can't really do that. There's only so many artists that can do it. Obviously, Berserk is an obvious one. Vagabond, yeah, what more? Yeah, that kind of stuff.
But yeah, I think a lot of stuff now kind of get, how to say, homogenized, you know,
Hmm. Yeah. You know what you mean.
and just yeah, well, that in that case, that is one case where I think the anime have it a little easier for you to see at a glance who is who. In the comic, it could be a lot harder.
Yeah. Especially with color, you can just colors is way easier. I mean, in the 50s, it was just when it was black and white, you just give them real distinctive designs, so you know who is who. You can't have it's just the same idiot just copy 20 times over, because in black and white, who the fuck would be who? So everybody was just like had their own design, and you know who was who. So it was just a bit simpler, obviously, and the plot was a lot simpler back then, so it was even easier to see for who it was. It was also majority was just for children. So yeah.
Right. This the remake of One Punch Man, it continues far beyond the original rough manga that the guy had
Thing
created.
continued alongside it. Yeah, first the per at first the webcomic was just doing its own thing in the first few volumes, and then the new manga was just copying that. But now they're just synchronizing. They just have the same story, but then just in a different style, and having more plot. In the beginning, it was just making it for fun, and it's just like the first chapter, or like few first chapters, was just for fun. It had no logic to it, and there was just a city called City Z in the city Saitama, which is actually in prefecture where the guy comes from, the mangaka. And just monsters pop up, and you have this guy that can just punch everything in one go, and just murders it, and that's about it. And that's how the story went in the beginning, just for fun, just whatever. And then you got more the monster society and the monster cells, etc., etc., and they got way more logic behind it, and you get more of a plot, an actual plot going. So they're just doing the same. But back then, with One Punch Man, his style was not, his drawings were not the best, obviously. So they wanted to do somebody else to do the art for the manga. So this guy got the job for that, because he was a big fan of the work already, and the webcomic one wanted to give up, but got convinced, and then we have this manga, and then later on Mob Psycho got an anime, but and actually his style, and it got really popular. So who would
Yeah,
have thought?
he also improved as an
Yeah,
artist.
he got better all the time.
I mean,
So
at the
he,
beginning, his art was little more than sketches
Yeah,
from
yeah,
someone who clearly didn't know how to draw. So
yeah. And for an anime, it really worked out. If you do a really experimental, twist on it and try to make the animation as crazy as possible, then you have a good product going on, and then it got really popular and it worked, and then there was the One Punch Man, and it just keeps going in that style. But if Madhouse is not working on it anymore, then it just kind of falls flat on its face after a while, and it's just like you know. And some people also said that, like with One Punch Man, the story is a bit going nowhere, and it's like not that funny anymore. But I don't know. I have still a good time with it. I don't know how long it's gonna be. It's probably not gonna be in One Piece, and it's just gonna continue for goddamn ever. I hope it's not gonna be like that, but I don't think it's gonna be like that because, who the fuck would have 80 volumes of this? Nobody. And like, there's only 26 at the moment. So I'm like, yeah, so this stuff can only go on for so long until you have, till you have no story anymore. It doesn't work for something like this. So yeah,
so the original creator is still working on his own thing.
yeah,
So
still
that is,
working on the webcomic.
but it's diverged, right? Is not is going to be totally different, or is it, or is
No, at the
the
moment it's about the same plot line, only in a different style, obviously, in a different, they're more wording, and the action doesn't look as, glamorous as it looks in this manga, obviously. I mean, this guy, Murata, can just do so much more with the action, so it looks a lot more stylized and a lot more different than webcomic. He improved a lot, but, the action is not going to be on the level that this guy and the Murata is on. So yeah, but it's about the same plotline now. That just
uh,
have the same work going on.
it's kind of funny that they choose this this manga that looks like this to make something that was so detailed. Like it, like yeah, here is a show that looks exactly the opposite of the original manga that is based on. In terms of detail.
Yeah, the webcomic.
Yeah, yeah. But then on the other
Yeah,
hand, there's I don't know if have you ever actually seen the manga of Ranking of Kings?
Ranking of Kings. In France, yeah, I've seen it passing by the volumes basically, but yeah, not much of it basically.
it's the same character design as the anime, but the anime maybe is more worthwhile because the animation is well made. And am I correct?
Um,
Mm.
well, the well, looking at the style of the original anime, I would not think that the story would be, where it is. Is not as crazy as Made in Abyss, but I think it has the art style is deceptively simple, uh, compared to where it seems to go. If that makes sense. Because I mean, you've seen the anime, so you see it could go to some surprisingly dark places for how it looks. And the style of the comic is even more simple. Is like a child. Is like a. It looks like a children's book. It's even more simple than
Mm.
and they don't really pay too much attention to perspective and stuff. Uh, I mean, not necessarily in a bad way. I mean that I like how that looks too sometimes. Um, but yeah, but I think the story is the same though. I don't think the story is too divergent. But it's interesting that I don't think anybody was interested in translating it before the show came out and became popular. Maybe I think it because of the look, it was it like I say, a deceptively simple kind of style. Yeah. You know. I mean, surely if you saw Made in Abyss, you would never guess where it goes.
No.
Yeah.
Obviously.
That is. I think the guy enjoys that. Like what cruelty could I inflict upon these people
These
today?
kids.
Yeah.
How much fucked up could I get with this stuff? How much trauma and CP can I put into this? But still have an interesting work with great art and whatnot. Like, if it's one guy that probably did that kind of stuff, it's probably him. Like, how else do they get much all those ideas from? I mean, you can just turn on the news and you have that kind of idea. That's not that difficult. And obviously, he probably doesn't do that, but you know.
Is I've been looking at I've been trying to find stuff that where they have I mean kind of the same feeling as Abyss, like traveling through a strange world, a strange and really alien world. And one of those that I found was oh, no one then here and there. I think you mentioned it before.
Oh yeah, I know one.
It doesn't even look like something made in Japan. It could be made in any other country. Ranking of Kings.
Looking at this image, Japanese now.
Yeah, it stands apart from all the other things.
Yeah, I think part of its popularity is because of how different it is. It doesn't have that kind of samey look that a lot of anime have that I was just mentioning.
It looks more cartoonish and Western-like, maybe.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I think it probably just make the emotion hit harder when it actually does hit. When it actually does, I mean, like, look, even the snake had a backstory. I wasn't imagining that.
Yeah, it's just like any character, any creature has some kind of story going on. Oh well, I mean, maybe I watch it someday. I mean, it's good things about it, and it wasn't as childlike as it seems to be. From like Made in Abyss, that what you think about it.
Oh, but definitely
people were like complaining about like the first episodes of Made in Abyss that they had a joke going on that kids would, if kids misbehave in class, they would be strung up naked and whipped, and then 2 seconds later it actually happened. So like as a joke like that, like, no, that goes too far. Oh, sweet summer child, don't even know what's gonna happen in like a season or two.
Yeah, that's kind of a strange thing. But not, I mean, that is not even the strangest thing that happened.
I don't know. It gets more fucked up, but that was in the beginning. Obviously, then nobody knew like how fucked this stuff could be later on.
Yeah, I read that. I read that it wasn't successful when it started out. I guess it didn't have the hook yet. But I think
it's on interview on Made in Abyss on YouTube a while back, and the author said like he wanted to stop, and then he had this bunny character, and he just wanted to pour everything into that character that he could, all his drawing skills, the character, whatnot, just to get a good send off for the series and just have some character they really want to polish. And slowly it just took off, and it just became as popular as it is now. Without thinking it would ever be.
Yeah, maybe I've heard of this in a lot of manga artist interviews and stuff, but I always wonder how much they have planned because they always seem to give themselves out if they need to end it fast, if they get cancelled, you know.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I like looking at Rurouni Kenshin, I saw like this guy he planted a lot of stuff, or he seemed to. Maybe I don't know if you remember some of the stuff Koma like yeah, like how he was actually the guy that created Shishio in a way.
Hmm.
By like he became, I don't know how much of it do you remember?
About the Shisho, the
Well,
one with hmm?
well, kind of the overall story.
Yeah.
Like how he was able to tie it back together. Like he Kenshi had become an important assassin.
Batozai, yes.
Right, yeah, and with him leaving, it left a space for other people that had to fill it, and one of those was Shishio. So like, there would never have been a Shishio if it wasn't for Kenshi.
Yeah, maybe he left a mark because Shishio was the one who took Kenshin's place at some
Right.
point as an assassin for the same group.
And it was funny. Like, what would they have done to Kenshi if he hadn't left? The same, he would have been Shishio. He would have been burned to death, burned 90, well, burned almost to death. You know.
Yeah.
So like I thought that was interesting to tie back. And also I don't know if you read the manga notes, but it seems like a lot of the stuff that we think of as careful planning is made up not on the fly, but is not entirely planned out as it might seem, because it seems like the guy kind of came up with the idea of
As
the
he was writing the story, you mean? He
yeah,
came up
or
with how to continue the story as he was working on it, piece by piece.
yeah,
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, sometimes stories grew up by themselves. It's the same things George R. Martin does with his book series, A Song of Ice and Fire. Basically, at the beginning, he imagined something completely different, but as he started writing the story, the characters started to take life by themselves and grew without him having much control over them. It's weird, but maybe sometimes for some authors, that is how the stories unfolds, and it is a good thing overall. The fact that they don't have everything planned out
but
beforehand.
is
Hmm?
it could that be dangerous though?
It could be depending on some things, I don't know, but I see the value in having something that um, take life in this way.
Well, I always worry about people like, oh, I don't know if you've seen, well, I know you follow Martin, right?
Yeah.
There's a part where he recently he's come out and he said that there's a character that he wishes he didn't kill.
Don't remember
Mm.
this
Right.
specifically, but it's possible. Yeah.
Yeah. Recently I was is like, I think it's like a relatively recent interview.
Hmm.
So like, I'm hearing that and I'm thinking, I think the reason he's saying that is because there's no viewpoint character in that place now to see the information that he wants us to see. Because remember, the way that he writes is strictly viewpoint, right?
This is one of the problems because he needs to rewrite things, and that's why the new book, it's taking so much time to be released. It's more than 10 years now, and it goes back to see if something doesn't fit. It's complicated, I guess.
Yeah. So I mean, like he says that he has the broad strokes even when he initially started. But when you have the broad strokes, you may not think of stuff like that, because
Yeah.
you may, in your mind, you are the omniscient. Uh, you're omniscient then. But when you really get down to it, you realize, oh, I've killed off this guy, and there's nobody here to report this information anymore. What do you do with that?
It's a risk, as you
You know?
said.
Yeah. So I think that's why, like, some people, I don't know. Does anybody care about Game of Thrones spoilers here?
Not really. I tried to sell my set that I got like
Yeah.
1 through 8 of the seasons on Blu-ray. I got from Austria or something like that.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people say that he didn't reveal who the character was, by the way, but a lot of people seem to think it's Kevin Lannister because
Oh, the brother of Tywin's
right,
brother.
right. But so if he's killed, there's nobody to see because as of now in the books, Cersei is still locked up in the I think she
I
may
mean,
have.
isn't this spoiler though? Because I don't remember if it is that in the books yet. I mean, he died in the TV show for sure, because we all know what happened. But
Oh no, but he was killed in the book. He was killed. This guy killed him. The spider. Varys
Varys.
killed him. Oh,
Oh,
I,
right, yeah, he did that. May probably yes. I forgot. You probably. I mean, I've read it more than 10 years ago, so
well,
I'm not.
back, back when I was a little more optimistic about the time spans, I was like, oh, it's gonna come out now. I better reread them. You know. So I might be a little more fresh. But yeah, that was actually pretty surprising because he's the only Lannister that is in King's Landing and is free to do what he wants, right?
Yeah.
Because remember Cersei, I think, had done the walk of shame, so she no longer really has political power because everybody sees them. They kind of saw them at their worst then. Is anybody gonna listen to her anymore?
I
But
don't
yeah,
know.
so that may be a problem that the show didn't have because in a way the show is omniscient, right? The show
Yeah.
is because we don't need to have characters anywhere in the show. Sorry, what I mean is we don't need to have a viewpoint character in a show, or we're not even able to really, not in the same way,
No.
Yeah.
I don't
So
remember if he had a viewpoint before it was taken out or no.
no, I think that was his only viewpoint character chapter.
Yeah, when he died, basically.
Yeah,
Oh,
because
Mm-hmm.
remember he was thinking about how Cersei could no longer be kind of viewed as a queen because she
yeah.
was, she had done people see them at their lowest point, so that nobody's going to kind of take them too seriously going forward. So yeah, and I like that Varys was like, yeah, I don't really hold any ill will against you, but I'm also going to kill you. So that guy had to go. And I like that this guy, and it's such like it's like you could clearly see that this is like a plot device that Martin has put in from the beginning, that nobody knows the extent of the secret tunnels and passages and all this kind of shit in this whole castle. So Varys could just appear anywhere that he needs to appear and kill anybody and escape.
Yeah,
That,
he makes everyone believes he was Tyrion again. because
Oh,
it
that was
killed it. Mhm.
that's also funny, you know. And I remember I remember Cersei was always paranoid about him lurking in the wall,
Yeah,
you know. But it's funny. Is it paranoia if it's possible, you know? Because there is all kind of holes in the wall, you know. And I like that is such like a fantasy like thing. Like they have been living in this castle. People have been living in this castle for hundreds of years since it was built, and nobody has mapped out all the tunnels in the castle. And still, they continue to live in that castle where anybody could just come up and kill you anytime. You know,
yeah,
I thought that was funny. You know, like would you live in a house this house is filled with booby traps? You know, that we've
Let
never
me go
discovered
grab
it.
a bottle of wine in the cellar and just fall down a pit with spikes or something like that.
Yeah, you know,
yeah,
yeah. I always wonder about that stuff in video games. You know, it's like yeah, this is this guy house. You know, but like in random RPG fashion, random battle RPG fashion, you could be going to the toilet and like you know, a leviathan is coming to kill you. You know,
Coming out of the
all this
toilet, just trying to
yeah,
murder you.
all this stuff is just kind of looking around. You know, and I thought that was funny in the book too. I mean, I understand why it's there though. You know, like that. I think that is the kind of thing that is it works in a book maybe better than it could work in a show because you don't really have to show all of this. You could just kind of write it, and it's the reality of the world. You know, uh, there was because there's a lot of things that he writes that it kind of adds texture to the world, but it doesn't. We never go there. You know, like yeah, like how he always mentions, you know, ET, you know, the city of ET, or and is like magic is like commonplace there. You know,
yeah,
I thought that stuff was interesting. Like we may never go there, but just mentioning it kind of makes the world seem bigger. You know,
yeah.
that sort of stuff. Yeah, I
Yeah.
always thought that stuff was interesting. You know, and I always go back to what was it? The Tears in the Rain speech, uh, where the guy is. I mean, I'm sure you know it from Blade Runner. Um, where where the guy just mentions, you know, I've seen things you people wouldn't believe.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
I know. He's
you
a
know,
Dutch actor. Yeah, 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 I know what you mean.
and that is just a you know attack ships on fire of the town house, like gate and all this other stuff like that. We never even see that, you know. But
You can
just
just
him,
imagine what you have seen him and how
yeah,
fast it
yeah,
all is.
and you know, like since I heard that, I always think about that, you know, and it's probably better that we don't see it because
Yeah,
you know what,
that loses its magic if you
yeah,
just lets us see it's just a separate series of all his adventures. I'm like, yeah, but where's the magic of that anymore? And then the
yeah. And
whole mystery is just gone from that.
I think Grimm is really good at that. I think he's good at he's not he mightn't be good at finishing stuff, but he's good at coming up with you know cool stuff, you know, uh, and hinting at more, you know. A lot of people have kind of lost faith in him over the years, but and they wonder if they should read the book. Should we read a book that's probably not going to see an ending? Uh, but I think that there's value in that too, you know. I mean, you are translating a unfinished manga, right?
Yeah, but this manga is basically made by stories that have a start and a finish for each chapter. Each chapter
Ah,
Mm,
is a story by itself, so
episodic.
you can still enjoy it even if you don't see the continuation.
but do you uh, if it wasn't though, if it would you still translate it or not necessarily you, but would you still see value in translating it at all? If
I
it
don't
had
know. There are many manga that are discontinued, but are being translated or published to this day in many countries, even if they were accessed in Japan back in the day. There are many examples, like a manga that was written by the same author who did Ashita no Jo and Kazuo Kamimura.
And it was cancelled, or he never.
It was cancelled.
Okay. If a manga is cancelled, do the rights go back to the writer, the creator?
I think the publishing company and also it keeps the publishing rights as well as the author. I mean, he's not. I don't know if he is free to continue it with another publisher. Possibly, probably.
Well,
but it depends. I don't know it precisely. It depends.
Well, I mean, the reason I ask is that let's say there was one that I just want to see the story end, and you could finish it in like a simple way online or something like that. Like have you ever? I don't know if you're aware of the Half-Life law.
I mean, there are many problems. First, that a manga it's partly made by the author, but the editor from the publishing house also has a say in how the story develops. So it's as much as a manga from the author as much as it is from the editor who helps the author to write the story. So if a mangaka quit a publishing house, it's hard for him to continue the story with another publisher because it will need to work with another editor, and maybe the story will develop in a different way than it would have with the original editor. So it's complicated.
But I wonder that dynamic isn't always the same, though.
Not always, but most of the time with manga, this is how it is.
Okay, because I was wondering about Berserk. I get the idea that he had a little more freedom than most others. I don't know what you think, because from what I understand, they added the kid character.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, if you are a famous mangaka with a great experience and many years of work, you will have more freedom, I guess. But you are still going to work with an editor if you want to publish something. I mean, Masashi Kishimoto, the author of Naruto, did a manga series not that long ago called Samurai 8. It was axed, I guess, because it didn't sell that well. I don't know the reasons because it didn't sell that well, but he also needed to answer to an editor for that manga also, even if he was the author of best-selling manga like Naruto.
That's insane. I'm like, sorry, go ahead.
No, finished. Continue. Say what you wanted to say.
I was actually thinking about like even that. Well, is it necessary now as much as before to work with a publisher?
I mean, kind of. It's not the only way, but it's difficult for a single person to get noticed, or I guess it's convenient to work with a publisher and get your manga in every single store in Japan so that people will read it. And I mean, you can, if you are lucky enough, get noticed on the internet by yourself, but most of the time people that start on the internet and get noticed will end up working with a publisher either way. Like some series. Even One Punch Man, I guess, started out like something like this. Like he did it by himself first, and then
Right.
he
Yeah,
worked
as a
with a
webcomic, and
publisher.
then
Yeah, it was like a web comic he did on his blog or something like that.
yeah, it was first started on his blog, then got picked up, and then went from there.
Yeah, most of the time it works that way. It's difficult for someone in Japan, I guess, to continue working alone. It's possible, I guess. It would make them a doujin artist. There is this manga called Blood Alone. I don't think it. Maybe it was published in English. Let me check. Blood Alone. Um But basically, the deal with this manga is that the author started the manga by himself. It was a doujin manga. Then it was picked up by a publisher. Then something came up and it changed the publisher once again. And then he argued with the editor, the publishing company, and got back being a doujin for like it
Ah,
started. So it's weird.
so he was able to get back the you're saying the rights isn't as much an issue as it is the kind of co-authorship of the editor.
I guess it's both.
Okay, okay, because I mean, like I heard that that Watsuki, some of his stuff was dropped, because of all of that. So it would kind of be weird to I mean, I always think about the rights of the creator. It's kind of messed up if the creator, uh, if his creation is tied up with somebody else. I mean, I know it happens all the time.
Yeah, yeah,
If the creator is,
yeah, yeah.
and
Well.
I'm sure you see horror stories about that already.
Hmm.
Where the original creator doesn't even have the rights to his work because for the sake of survival, he had to sell those rights to survive in the beginning. And
Yeah,
then, like I don't know if you follow this if you follow any Western cartoons, but the what do you call it? Gargoyles was a popular series, and it it was unusual for Disney because Disney is not really in the business of making like adult oriented animated series. I suppose maybe you could think of it like maybe it's something kind of like Batman, like how Batman the animated series was geared towards older kids, you know, even though it have like a lot of adult fans too. In fact, I would say it probably has more adult fans than kid fans now. Um, but yeah,
but
um,
well.
and the latter part of the series was totally different than what the original guys wanted, and so
Hmm.
as usual, and afterwards I think after probably a long time they were able to get back the rights and conclude it in the way that they wanted in the form of the comics or continue it. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
I
But
mean, I
well.
think yeah.
But yeah, guess wanted to end it here because it's getting a bit late. I'm kind
Yeah.
of tired, so yeah,
No problem. Yeah.
yeah. So that's it for the podcast, and we'll see you next time in like 2 weeks or something like that. Bye.
Bye
Okay.
bye,
Later.
guys. See you next
Bye.
time.
Later.